Welcome to episode 12 of the Physique Formula podcast. Guys, you know the deal. This is performance nutrition, and it is in a 5-minute, super easy format for you guys to process and pick up and use in your daily life. So, physiqueformulasupplements.com, use code PFPodcast20 at checkout, save 20% on your first order, as well as Instagram at Official Physique Formula. I'm going to talk about some foods today that act as they act like Ozempic. I kind of choose my wording wisely. So you've obviously heard about Ozempic. We know it's a GLP-1 agonist, and it helps to suppress your appetite so you eat less. And controlling calories is a big piece of the equation in terms of burning body fat. So there are certain foods that can help us in this quest. The first is a relatively unknown seed or nut, such inchy seed. Yeah, that's a mouthful, right? So it's a plant from Peru. It's largely unsaturated fats, but it has some super interesting effects on weight loss. It inhibits the hunger enzyme DPP4, and this way it acts as a GLP agonist. It suppresses your appetite in a very powerful manner because when DPP4 doesn't go up, our brain and our stomach don't communicate that we need more food. Psyllium husk. This is something I've been adding, and I've been putting a little ground psyllium husk into my cottage cheese every night before bed. I want the fiber to slow down digestion. I know cottage cheese slows down, is a slow releasing protein additionally to that, but slowing down the digestion, it's going to trigger GLP-1. You're not going to wake up hungry, which was never my issue to begin with. I just want the anabolic gains of a little slower digesting protein at night. So a recent study pointed out that psyllium slows down digestion so much that GLP-1 release is significant. Literally 1 to 2 tablespoons at night. You might want to start a little slower for gut health. I go about 1.5 teaspoons, so maybe around 1 tablespoon. But yeah, combining protein with a soluble fiber is super interesting. Green tea and coffee combination. So I'm not talking about taking this separately, but the catechins in green tea and the chlorogenic acid in coffee both have a huge increase on appetite suppression. That's why when I would fast all morning, I would drink coffee all day. And it even works for decaf. Not only is your post-glucose meal lowered, but there's a significant increase in GLP-1 due to the catechins, chlorogenic acid, and polyphenols. Eat more protein. We always talk about this, but a higher protein intake triggers the peptide YYY for satiety, for higher satiety. One study looked at a higher protein intake and eating frequency, and those who ate more protein experienced a reduction in overall calories and improved appetite control. So peptide YYY works similar to GLP in this way. So just why protein works. Interesting enough, a study compared whey versus casein, which we know is more of a quicker digesting protein that spikes insulin a little bit, which you want post-workout. Whereas a casein is a little more long-term. But interesting enough, the whey protein reduced hunger in the short term and whey reduced in the long term, which is, again, why cottage cheese works well. But think about that combination maybe around nighttime. It's something interesting to try. You can bump up your omega-3s. Omega-3s increase the hormone adiponectin. Sorry about that. But they also boost leptin to increase satiety. And the anti-inflammatory benefits of omega-3s further reduce leptin. And something I'm playing with is more MCT oil. So a recent study compared medium chain triglycerides to long chain triglycerides for appetite suppression. MCTs suppressed appetite faster via their rapid absorption because they boosted ketone bodies. And so I don't necessarily want to be in ketosis. I like being in low carb, but in terms of an appetite suppressant, if I throw some MCTs in a shake when I'm in between meals or when I know I'm not going to be able to have another meal for a few hours, I'll take that additional benefit. So, and then, I talked about in an earlier podcast, but salt. We talked about how salt suppresses sweet cravings and satisfies the NST neurons, which are just neurons that tell the brain when you want glucose or sugar or salt. But by salting my food, by drinking a few salt electrolyte packets, I can reduce cravings and not snack, even on a healthy snack. A recent study, people who consume more salt consumed less sweets. So that science is definitely interesting for me. So think about that. Consider that. Guys, Instagram @official physique formula. Thank you so much for listening.